Hey guys, Jason here from cricketstoreonline.com, and just wanted to do a new updated video for everyone on knocking in cricket bats. Obviously we all know that all cricket bats need to be knocked in. There's a lot of different methods of doing it. I've been doing it now for about 5 years and probably done 1,000 cricket bats very easily. To give you an example, right down here, I don't know if you can see it, I've actually got my knocking in machine. That was a recent purchase. I've been knocking them in by hand for many years, and it just got to the point where I just couldn't do it by hand anymore. And basically, story of mechanization, right? You get a machine to replace a human being. In this case, I've replaced myself. To give you an example, in the last what are we in now? We're in July, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. In the last 10 months, I've done close on 400 cricket bats. So that you're looking at 40 bats a month. So definitely pretty well experienced. And like I said, I've been doing this since January 2010. So just first thing you need to know when knocking in your cricket bat, there's a couple things you obviously need. You need a mallet. You can't knock in a cricket bat without a mallet. And then you need raw linseed oil. You want to use raw linseed oil because it seals the moisture in the wood. Now, over here in America, we've got a company, a bunch of hardware stores called Home Depot and Lowe's, and you can get something there called cooked linseed oil, right? Cooked linseed oil takes moisture out of wood, okay? So you don't want to use that. I've even been asked if people come up to my live chat on my website and they're like, hey Jason, can I use mustard seed oil? No, you cannot use mustard seed oil, you cannot use olive oil, you cannot use car oil. Raw, R-A-W, raw linseed oil is the only thing that you can use to soften the wood fibers on a cricket bat, and that's basically what you're going to do. Now, I also just want to touch quickly on two major different kinds of English willow that you're going to see. One is a piece of English willow. This is a nice clean Hammer Patriot. And which one is this actually? This is actually one of them that I'm sending to one of my professional players, right? It doesn't have a lot of grains on it, but it's really nice and clean. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grains. 7 grains is an absolutely great number. And why is it a great number? It's a good mixture of the dense, dry grain, which is also a little bit heavier, and the softer sapwood, okay? So you're gonna get a very nice sort of spring from it. And the thing about 7 grains is that with the sapwood, it's going to be less brittle. So it's actually you should have a nice long life out of it, but it's going to take a little while just to warm up and get going, right? The flip side of that, here's a Gunner Moore 808, beautiful piece of wood. This one has a lot of grains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 grains. But what's special about this piece of wood, this dark section here is called heartwood. That's from the center of the tree. A piece of wood with a lot of grains means that the tree grew faster. A piece of wood with just a few grains is that the tree grew slower and those grains were spread out further. The heartwood is the center. Now, knocking in a cricket bat with heartwood is tricky. You can't. It's quite difficult to do. The reason is this piece of wood here, with a nicely spaced, lots of nice sapwood. This wood is a little softer, so it's gonna take longer to knock in. But once it is knocked in and it's playing, it's gonna be less brittle and potentially could last you more seasons. Okay, a bat with a lot of grains. The reason why professionals like bats with a lot of grains like this is that it plays well really quickly. You don't have to have 10 or 15 net sessions with it before it's ready to go, right? So that's just a little bit about wood for you. Now, this heartwood here, the problem with heartwood, even though it's nice and strong and it's gonna be nice and stiff, so there's less vibration loss when you hit the ball, the problem with it is it's quite hard. So a piece of heartwood, you have to oil more than a piece of the whitewood, of the sapwood, okay? So I just want to, this is actually a old bat over here. I just want to give you an example and show you quickly. This has got less grains, it's actually an old, it's a broken bat. but I just want to use it to give you a good example of how much oil you want to use when you're oiling your cricket bat, right? So you take your raw linseed oil. You can get these cool little bottles of oil to pour from cricketstoreonline.com. So you're literally looking for about a teaspoon at each oiling. Some bats need 2 or 3 coatings of oil spread out over 24 hours. So you oil the bat, leave it for 24 hours, check it, see if you think that the wood is soft enough and ready to go. If it's not, if it's quite dry and hard, put some more oil on. So this is it, just like that. That's all you need on there. And if you can see, it's about a teaspoon of oil, and then all you're going to do is rub it in just on the face, the toe, just like that. That's all you do. And then what I like to do, try not to go too far over the edges, just a little bit on the edge, because you're going to knock in that edge too. So use your fingers just to do that, and then do that on the other side as well. And that's it. Your bat is oiled. Try and leave it face up like this for 24 hours so that the oil can soak down. Gravity will pull that oil into the wood. Like I said, make sure you go over the edges, because you are going to knock in those edges, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. So that's as easy. Now remember, if you do have the heartwood on, make sure you get a lot of oil on there, and you're probably going to have to oil that 2 or 3 times. The reason you want that heartwood soft is because it's brittle and it's going to crack. Okay, so if you don't knock it in properly, you're going to have cracked edges, which is not what you want. So that's the first little section on oiling. I'm going to cut the video off here, and then I'm going to do the second section, and then I'm going to try and stitch them all together. So that's a little bit about oiling your cricket bat. Thanks very much. Okay guys, so moving on to part 2 now. We want to now prepare the bat for knocking in. So what I've got here is I've got the same bat. This is a bat that I've oiled over 2 days, oiling the face and oiling the edges as well, just like I spoke about in the last section. So this bat is now ready to start basically beating the crap out of it with a mallet. But there are certain things you got to do and make sure before you can go ahead and do that. So the way that I like to do it, obviously now that I've got the facilities, I put it on that knocking in machine over there. But there's still some stuff that you have to do before you either put it on that machine or you start beating the crap out of the willow. Right? So you take your mallet. This is a nice Hammer Berserker mallet. They're nice and heavy, and they work really well. It's got a big head as well, so that you don't do too much damage if you happen to hit the edge. Okay? So what you want to do essentially first is you want to round off the edges. If you look at cricket bats like CAs, for example, the edge, no, I don't have one here. The edge is extremely sharp. It's a sharp 90-degree angle. Now, what do you think is going to happen if you take a hard cricket ball and you try and hit the crap out of it and you hit it on that sharp edge? Okay, you're going to make a big dent, and it's definitely going to crack the wood. Now, the problem with companies like CA is that there's a big sticker on the front of the bat that says ready to play, okay, or pre-knocked. That's absolute bull. If you look at that edge, you'll see it's obviously not pre-knocked. If you take a mallet on that raw edge, you'll put a big old dent in it. That's why I prefer cricket bats that have got a slightly rounded edge. It's way better, and it's easier then to knock in. All cricket bats need knocking in. That's rule number 1. Unless, of course, I've done it, because then you know it's done right. Right? So, what you're going to do is find yourself a comfortable chair, put on some headphones, listen to some crazy music, send your wife and kids out of town because it's going to be noisy. But what you're going to do to start off with is you hold it basically in front of you. If you've got some sort of bed that you can lay it in that holds it kind of stiff, that's totally fine as well. But just for this purposes, I'm going to show you standing up. What you want to do, hold the bat facing towards you, and you want to start out softly, and you want to hit that edge. Straight is good, but you can go to about a 45-degree angle. You don't want to go beyond that 45-degree angle and hit the bat straight down on that. That's going to do nothing and could certainly help that face delaminate, and we don't want to do that. What you want to do is just start out softly, just tapping the edge just like that. And what you want to do is you want to start at that one spot and slowly roll it up, one hit at a time down, one hit at a time up. You don't want to start in the middle somewhere, start there and go all over the place. Find a spot and just start from that spot and go down. Okay? And then go back to the spot, same spot, and go up to the toe. Hitting at about a, let's say, a 35-degree angle. You want to do that for literally 15 minutes on per edge, okay? You can also come straight down on the face, right? Straight down and hit for that half an inch from the edge. So you want to help that, because knocking on the edge is going to leave a bit of a corner now on the face, and you want to go ahead and flatten that corner out as well. And you want to do that from there all the way up to the top corner. I'm just going to do this one for you and show you. All the way to there, and all the way to the toe. You can literally spend 15 minutes doing just that. It's very important you don't hit too hard. Very important you don't hit too hard, and it's very important that you try not to crack the edges. Now, if you do, it's not the end of the world, okay? I've got a little trick for you. Let me see if I can find some here on my dirty bench. If not, here we go. If you do happen to crack the edges, not a big deal, okay? What you want to do is get yourself some of this. It's liquid super glue. This is a bat maker's secret little weapon, or a bat repairer's secret weapon. It's very important. Let me see. See there, it says ultra liquid. Very important you get the one that's really watery. Why is that? Because let's say there was a small little crack, just a tiny little crack there. This stuff gets hard as nails, okay? The watery one, the liquid one, is gonna soak right into the wood, okay? Just put a little dab on that little crack, spread it around, not with your fingers, with like the cap of the bottle or something, because you will stick to your bat. And then just blow on it, leave it for 10 minutes, it's good to go. It's good as gold, absolutely promise you. So that's what you've done. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but you've just rounded that edge off. Now that's step number one. And then that's step number one. You want to go ahead and do that same thing on the other side. About half an hour, just rounding those edges off, and then you'll be good to go on to the next step. So I'm going to cut this video off here, and then we're going to go on to the next one. Cheers. Hey guys, Jason here, cricketstoreonline.com. Just moving on to step number 3 with knocking in your cricket bat. Just touching again on the edges. Looking at this GM 808 Sigma with this, like, it's about 45% heartwood. This is gonna be super hard, okay? So it's very important to put a lot of oil on this section particularly and get that really nice and soft. I would say certainly 2 to 3 coats of oil, like we showed in the beginning of the video. And then the knocking in of the edge is very important to be very gentle, essentially, and to figure out when you're hitting it with a mallet, just figure out exactly where the level is so that you don't crack those edges. And it's very important to start in a small spot and move up and down from there. That's the beauty of the machine, is that it really, like, it knocks it into the mallet, but it's so precise and such small little movements that it's almost like rolling it just with that really small concentration of the mallet. So it's absolutely fantastic. So getting on to the next step, we've rolled the edges and we're getting onto the toe. The toe is generally gonna be quite hard, and recently a lot of people have come to me, and when they asked me to knock it in on the machine, they said, Jason, please concentrate on the toe because the toe is very dead and I want it to ping well. Now that's logical, but unfortunately it's not practical. The reason is this: hitting a cricket ball is all about sound waves and percussion, and it's pretty technical. But here's the sweet spot, guys, okay? This is a really nice big Hammer Patriot with a medium to low sweet spot. That's where the sweet spot is, okay? You can see there's no wood down there, okay? So the vibration, that's why there's so much vibration, because there's no wood to control that vibration and transfer that power to the ball, okay? That's why this is so weak as well, and that's why cricket bats break down here quite often, because the vibration, that sound wave, splits that wood, just shatters it, okay? And the harder the ball, the more vibration, the easier the bats break. So, no amount of pressing, no amount of knocking in, no amount of fairy dust is going to make this sweet spot, okay? Just forget about it. End of story. Sweet spots here. Remember, sweet spots on cricket bats are about the size of a golf ball, okay? The further you go out from that center, the weaker the sweet spot gets. Okay, that's why the bigger the bat, the heavier the bat. If you got a 3-pound bat, you might have a sweet spot the size of a soccer ball. Okay, but if you got a 2.7 bat, your sweet spot is the size of a golf ball. That's just the fact of the matter. So, knocking in the toe. Very similar to the way that we knocked in the edges. We're gonna just do the bottom 3 or 4 inches. And it's very important, once again, to have your bat oiled properly, and that you know the characteristics of the bat that you're knocking in. And what I like to do is you just start with one hit it relatively hard, hold it up to the light, okay, and see if there's a dent over there. If there's a dent over there, you've done your job basically. That's exactly what you want to see. You want to see some dents. Now, another cool little trick someone taught me. Check out David Wall in India. David Wall in England. He has a very cool blog called White Willow Cricket. Take a nice shiny new cricket ball, okay? Use the seam and hit the bat. Make a couple of seam marks. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that, but I've got a seam mark right there and a seam mark right there. Now, hit your bat until the seam marks are gone. It's quite as simple as that. You can make those seam marks all over your face, and you hit until the seam marks are gone. So this is, you don't want to hit too hard starting off. Okay. Let me just do the edges here because I want to show you something else. Making sure that edge is done nicely. Okay, and you're knocking in the toe. All over the toe, the bottom 3 or 4 inches. Now everything I'm doing here is what I do to all the bats that come in before they go into the machine. This is basically prepping the bat. I spend at least half an hour, 45 minutes prepping the bat before it goes onto the machine. If you don't have a machine, you got to do that whole face by yourself. You're looking at about 15,000 knocks by hand, and that could take you, if you did it non-stop, you could do it in about 3 hours. But no one has the strength, no one has the time, no one has the wife that is deaf that will be able to spend 3 hours knocking in a cricket bat. So let's pretend now that our toe is knocked in. You want to spend another 10 or 15 minutes just doing that toe. So now you spent 15 minutes on this edge, 15 minutes on the toe, 15 minutes on that edge, rounding it off, okay? Then what I like to do is I like to test the edges, okay? By literally hitting it right on the edge and really testing it to make sure that it's knocked in really well. So you give it a good whack, and once you've done, remember, once you've done it lightly, get harder and harder and harder until you feel it's done really, really well. So that's a good example. That's a good start for you guys on knocking in the bats yourself. So oil, raw linseed oil is key number 1. Knocking in the edges, and then knocking in the toe. I'm going to cut out now, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about knocking in the face. Cheers. Hey guys, alright, here we are for our last section of knocking in your cricket bat. We've done the edges, we've done the toe, and we've done obviously both edges, and now we're going to start working on the face. Now, if you don't have your own personal knocking in machine, you got 2 options. A, you can send it to me. It's going to cost you $50, and I'm going to get this bat absolutely bonkers ready for you, and it's going to be match ready. But I always tell people, you're never going to take a new set of golf clubs and take them straight into the US Open. You're always going to practice with them first. Now it's the same with a cricket bat. You never want to take this straight into a match. You pull it out of the box, take it straight to a match. I'm going to bet you're not going to score 100. You want to take it into the nets for a couple of sessions, try it out, and make sure you're satisfied with the knocking in as well. And not only that, but you're familiar with how the bat plays, how it pings, where the sweet spot is. There's a lot of stuff you need to check before you can use that bat in a match. Now, what we've done already is we've made a couple of seam marks, okay? And now the seam marks is just an indication. You still need to check if that bat is ready, right? This bat, now modern day bats, the faces are going to be pretty well pressed. The edges are probably not. Some bats are pressed harder than other bats. I've seen in recent years, Gunnar Moores, Laverin Woods, Gray Nichols, they're quite hard pressed. Even SGs, quite hard pressed. The benefit of a hard pressed bat is that it's going to be stronger and less chance of breaking, and that's why they do it. The negative side is that it's not going to ping super well straight off the bat. The fibers have got to open up a little bit just for you to get that super good ping. The negative of a soft pressed bat, let's say soft pressed and super soft pressed. Soft pressed should ping better, should ping well, and it's going to take a little bit of knocking in to get it ready. Super soft pressed bats are, I'm going to say, under pressed, and it's going to take a lot of knocking in. Now, bats with fewer grains will take a fair bit longer because you've got a lot of sapwood. The sapwood is softer. It's going to take a while to knock that in, whereas bats with lots of grains, the grain is hard and dry and dense, it's going to be a lot quicker to get that bat ready. So what do you do now that you've got the ball marks? Basically what you do is start hitting in the center and make that indentation bigger and bigger, slowly until you've gone and done the whole face. Now that could take you anything from 5 to 10 to 15,000 knocks with the mallet, but this is kind of how you want to start out. Start soft. Have a look at it, see if you're making a dent. If you're not making a dent, hit it harder. Alright? Keep doing that until the entire face is done. This is where the wife brings in the divorce papers or tells you to go and do this in the garage. And that's kind of it. You do that for 3 hours solid, or if you want to do 15 minutes every day, you're looking at, what are you doing? 4, 5, 6, 7, 20 days, you can do that and you can have your bat knocked in. Okay? Or, I'm going to take you over there now and show you how we do it on the machine. Let me see if I can set you up over here somewhere. No, that's not going to work. Alright, let's hope that stays there. And what I do is sit here for hours and hours and hours. I've already got my bat ready on here. I've got it strapped down. And it's literally a case of just hitting this little button. I've got buttons there that's going to change directions. And that's it. So that's a quick look for you and how we do it here at Cricket Store Online. I would give the bat about 10,000 knocks after I've done the edges. If the bat is super soft and it's still taking the dents, I'd go up to about 15,000. But certainly make sure that bat is match ready for you. So I think this video is about 20 minutes long. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope I've given you some good insights. Remember, the keys are a really decent bat mallet. You want one that's nice and heavy. For the girls who use bats that are like 2.7, you might have to go to the gym a little bit, okay? Or you're going to hurt your triceps and your elbow and all sorts of stuff. Raw linseed oil, very, very important, and bat mallet, those are the two keys. If you're in the United States or Canada, $50 will get your bat match ready for you, and I guarantee you it is match ready. So thanks for watching this. Please share with all your friends, put on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, you name it. I'd love you to share it everywhere. Put it in your blog. So thanks for watching this video. CricketStoreOnline.com will do that to your bat for $50, and we'll get you out there scoring hundreds and hundreds of runs. So thanks for watching. Sign up for my newsletter. Cheers. Bye.